Hello, hello, it's Carrie with Lamia Fox, and I'm here with a little kind of a project share and a tutorial. I have been working on these little pockets to go into my little fabric Christmas journals that I have been making, and I wanted to show you this. Now, I got this idea from Nikki, from Musings by Nikki, but this is something that she did. She did this a few months ago, and I saw this video the other day, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I want to put this as a thing inside of my journals that I'm making. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up and show you what I have. It's kind of a stuffed envelope pocket thingy. I'm just going to go ahead and show you what I've got in here. So a total of 5 tags. So I've got one here, 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 and here. Okay, so I've got a total of 5 tags in here. I also have this one little journaling card. And the fun thing about this is that I plan on putting these, well, I'm putting these into the journals in the front. This is going to be the pocket. So in here is a pocket right here. This is a pocket, and I'm putting it into the journals so that it can be a tuck spot as well. So it goes in so that this becomes a tuck spot. Anyway, I'm excited with how they've turned out. The fun thing about this project, and what I really love about this project, is that it's really, this is kind of the reason why I got into paper crafting, is being able to see how things go together. And once you know the concepts behind how to do things, you can figure out how to make so many things. And that's one thing that I'm passionate about paper crafting, specifically junk journal, well, paper crafting generally and junk journaling specifically, because I love that I can take all of these bits and pieces from whatever, wherever, and put them all together. And this is one of those projects that just makes me excited about doing this. To put just the envelope together, you need a 12 by 12 inch piece of paper. You need 4 other pieces. Okay, these are contrasting colors. That's another important thing. The pieces will need to measure 3 1/4 by 3 1/4, 3 1/4 by 4 1/2, 2 1/2 by 5, and 3 1/4 by 2 3/4. You will also need some sort of way. So on here you can see the way that I'm doing my closure is with some twine and with some button brads that I've put on here. So you need your closure. Now you can make this using brads and paper circles. I'll be using my buttons and my brads, and I'm gonna grab some twine. Now, if you give yourself a generous, more than 14, if you give yourself a generous 14, I'm doing this much, more like probably 20 inches. 20 inches of, 14 to 20 inches of twine is enough to do this. And the other thing that I learned from watching Nikki is the use of eyelets, and I'm going to show you how to do that in just a minute. So I'm going to, in this video, I will be showing you how to make the basic pocket, using the 12 by 12 paper and these pieces here. And then I'm going to be doing a separate video showing my process on making the little tucky things. So hang on to your horses for that. So I'm going to go ahead and set these things aside, these little pieces that I've got cut up, and let's get into making this up. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our 12 by 12 paper and our large scoreboard, and I'm going to take this and turn it over. So I've got my scoreboard and my scorer right here, and I'm going to score at 3.5 inches, and then I'm going to score at 8.5 inches. Okay, so that's 3.5 inches in on either side. Okay, then I'm going to turn it a quarter turn. I'll start at this side. I'm going to score at 1.5. Then I'm going to score at 8. And I'm going to score at 11. Okay, so that is it for this equipment right here. I'm going to put this down. Now, I'm going to cut the little corners. So we're going to take off each of these corners. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to take off each of those corners, and I'll show you how I do this. I do it so that I bevel it, as instead of cutting directly on that score line right there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and I'm going to I'll pencil it in. So I'm going to take a piece of chipboard here. Okay, so I'm going to take, and you can see here, this is about 1/4 inch down here. If you take it to about 1/4 inch and then up to this point where these intersect, I'm going to go from 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead, I'll mark this out so you guys can see what cut I'm making. So here's our score line right here, and here's where I'm actually going to cut. So I'll kind of do that here just to mark it so you guys can see it, so you can know what I'm doing. Okay. And I do this because if you cut it direct, then as you're folding it, it will bind on the paper because it's too close. If that makes any sense. Okay. I'll go ahead and start at the top and cut right on that line. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through this process because watching somebody cut is just about as exciting as watching glue dry, as I'm sure you will agree. But I'm just, like I said, cutting on these lines that I've made for you guys to see, and I hope that you can tell it's just kind of a little bit of a bevel. So yeah. You notice that there's a pocket right here. Okay? So that pocket is made by cutting on the envelope. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I do that right now. You can see I have this one side left to cut off. So I start by cutting up this way and continuing all the way up till I get to this point. Okay, so in case I wasn't clear, I'm actually cutting up to the 8-inch score line that we made. Okay. And then I'm going to turn, and now I'm going to cut on this angle right here. Okay, so these pieces right here, I'm going to be using this piece right here. And I'll show you how I'm going to be using that in just a minute. But we're going to just put these guys to the side. And I've got this one here. And I'll show you what we have. That's what we have. This is what it looks like now. I will show you what it looks like folded. I am using cardstock. In Nikki's video, she says she's not using cardstock, but I wanted these to be pretty strong because I know that they're going in the front of my journals, and they needed to be kind of sturdy. They need to be kind of sturdy. Okay, so you can see the beveled edges over here up at the top. So now when I bring this down, it's not going to get caught up on this fold line right here. I'll fold up like this. Now, what is essential for this is a corner rounder or some way to round your corners. I have this one that I love to use because it has 3 different sizes that I can make. And I got it on clearance, so that made it even better. But I mean, if you just have something like this, that works too. I'm going to be doing I'm using my 10mm side, and I'm just going to round all of these corners. And that is what we've got. Now, you remember that we have the score that we made here. I'm actually going to do it this way. Okay. What do you think of that? That looks pretty good. I'm going to bring this up right here. And so that we can get an idea of where we will want to be putting our brad. Alrighty, so we know that we're going to want to have it in the center here. We'll grab the pencil. So half of 5 is 2.5. So this is 5 inches wide. So half of 5 is 2.5 inches. So we're going to go ahead and mark right here. That's where I want to put my one up here. And then we'll mark at 2.5. Right about right here. And I'm going to go ahead and use my pokey tool to make those holes. And I am going to need to kind of open this up to make that hole down here. Now, this, I'm going to share with you guys a tip that I got from Nikki. And I mean, love it. I absolutely love it. I have been making journals where I put these button brads on to use as a closure many times. But here's the mind-blowing thing that Nikki showed me, is that you can take these little eyelets, and this is completely optional, but you can take these little eyelets and you can squish them and make a little kind of a buffer between basically whatever it is, your brad or your paper, whatever, and your string, your twine, whatever you're using for your closure. So I wanted to show you how I'm making those. So I have the Big Bite, and I love the Big Bite, Crocodile Big Bite. And so I'm going to kind of show you, when you set an eyelet on the Big Bite, you have, so this is the eyelet setting part, and you have these two pieces. Obviously, you put the smooth side up into this part. It's got this thing, and then this part that looks kind of like this. That's where it gets smushed. So if you can believe it, it's a little bit hard to just stick this in and do that. So here's my tip of the day, and that is I'm using some tweezers. And so I take my piece right here, and I'm just going to go ahead, and when I set eyelets, I set my eyelet up in that so I know that it's right where it should be. And then I bring down my handle, and as it comes down, once it hits that place where it gets smushed down right there, then I take this out because I don't want that in the way. And I just chomp it down like that. And then you have something that looks like this. And I'm going to kind of try to put it in my palm of my hand so you can see what it kind of looks like. So it's just a squishy, mushy little eyelet. And I hope you guys can see that. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for this one really quick. Like that. Put this to the side. And I'll just go ahead and put my brad in right now. I'm taking the crushed little eyelet that we have and putting it right here, like so. And I'm going to go ahead and put my eyelet in right here, just like so. For the one that's going to be coming up here and put into this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my piece of twine that I have, and I'm going to kind of put it down in here. I like to do this. This is the way I do it. I like to do this because then I know for sure that it's in here. It's not going to slip. It's not going to go anywhere. So I've got it like this. You can see there's a small tail on this side. There's a big tail on this side. So I'm going to take and I'm going to tie it on one side of the prongs and then tie it really tight. Then I'm going to take it and I'm going to go from, so I'm on this side of the prongs. I'm going to take it and I'm going to wrap it over to the other side of the prongs and do a little tie there. And it is a little bit of a tough squeeze because I don't want to use a lot. Okay, so I've got that like that. The reason why I do it because then I have kind of a, it's equal. Like if you do it on just one side, then this piece is going to just kind of be a little skinny wumpus. Okay, so now I have it like so. I'm putting my eyelet down, and when I put my brad in, I try to make sure that the prongs are going to be going so that they're going this way, you know, this way, instead of like up and down. I'll just try to do that. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and set this so that the prongs are going this way, just like so. And my little twine is there. And I've got a little piece hanging out up here, which I'm okay with that. You could cut that tail off if you wanted. Now, remember our little piece here. Our little piece here is going to be used down here. And I mean, you could cut it in a circle if you wanted. Nobody sees this. So I am just going to put it down just like this. And how I do this, because I want to make sure that my brads do not move, I take my glue, and this is some Fabri-Tac or Fabri-Fix, and I'm going to put a big bunch of glue right down on top of this brad. Just kind of, I get a big gallop, a galloop of glue on that brad right there. Now then, I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to put glue on, especially around the corners, around it. I forgot to mention as I was recording that you're definitely going to want to do this step because not only does it secure that brad, but it also makes it so that anything that you put in those pockets will not get caught on the brad. And I'll pop this down, making sure that I kind of get all around and push down. I'm picking up the paper so that I can really kind of get that glooped down. Okay, now we have that, and you're kind of getting an idea of what we're gonna have, right? You got it, right? Before I go any further, what I would like to do is I want to cover this brad, and because I already know what I'm doing, I've cut this piece. Now this is our 2.5 inch tall by 5 inch wide piece of paper, and we are going to be mounting this here. So I'm going to be corner rounding this one, and I'm going to round the corners using the 10 millimeter, the same corner rounder as before. Oh, darn. I like to score this at the 1.5 inch mark. So I'm going to do that really quick. It just makes it easier for training the paper, you know. And I like to do that before I corner round it, but it's fine. So I'm going to just kind of train that paper. Just like so. And I like to do this because then when you close this, when this is all, you can kind of see it looks like it's kind of aligned. It looks a little bit lined. I like that. So I'm going to go ahead, like I did down here, I'm going to put a bunch of glue onto that brad over here. And then I will make sure to put all the glue around the edges. I'll go ahead and fast forward through this. Obviously, I'm just putting glue on paper, and that's just about as fun to watch as, well, putting glue on paper. Thanks, I hope you like that. And now we're going to go ahead and pop this down here, making sure to match up the corners. Make sure to really push down. And I'm going to leave that to dry. I'm not going to move it anywhere. I'm not going to fold it. I've already done my kind of pre-fold, so I'm going to leave that to dry like that. Now, for this part right here, we're going to be making a pocket here, right here, and we're going to be making a pocket here. So I want to have those little cute little grabby hole thingies. So what I'm using is my envelope punch board. And here's how I'm doing it. I'm just going to center this in. I'm looking at where I've got it folded, and I'm going to kind of try to center it as much as possible so that I'm eyeballing it. But then there you go. That's what that looks like. And then the other pocket is right here. So that's going to be a little bit trickier, but what I'm doing, this can be tricky, but if you make a mistake, it's okay. It is okay, because if you accidentally cut that part, which I did on one of mine, and I was like, oh, well, because it's inside, so it doesn't matter. You're not going to see that. So we want to make sure to get it to make this piece right here on this side right here. So here I go, like this. And I am going to center it in there as much as I possibly can and do the punch. Okay, and I hope y'all saw that. Well, I gotta put it right. Now, that is what we've got. So what do y'all think? Pretty cool, huh? All right, so with that being done, we're ready to glue these down. When it comes to gluing these down, we are going to be making a tuck spot here. And we're going to have this be a pocket here, this be a pocket here, and then we will be making pockets here. Okay? So how we make this a tuck spot, and this is one thing that just, Nikki, this is brilliant. Okay. We're going to I'm taking my art glitter glue, and I'm going to put a bead of glue down this line. And I'm only going as far as to here because I'm making a pocket here, and I don't want it, I want to be able to have the full pocket. So I'm only coming down to the score line here. Okay, so I'll give you a rundown of what I'm doing on my glue, because you kind of need to do it all at the same time. But we're going to do a line of glue here, a line of glue here. We're going to do a line of glue from here up to here. And then we're going to need to do a little line of glue from here to, and I'm kind of going to mark this, because just a little mark, because I want to make sure that I put the glue to the right place. So I'm just doing a little mark there, and I'll be able to see it, but erase it. It's just a little mark. Okay, so that this glue kind of, it'll dry fast. So we've got to kind of do it quickly. So I'm going to just go ahead and pull this up and do a bead of glue here. Then let that sit for a minute. Then I'll do my bead of glue here and quickly do my bead of glue from that point to that point. And then we're going to do this line. We're going to make sure that we don't accidentally close up the pocket, because we want to have the pocket. So we're going to just do this close to the line, but not quite on the line. And that's what we're doing, closing it up, getting her done. And I'm gonna grab my little bulldog clip for this part down here. Grab a few clippies for this part down here to keep those closed. Make sure that I got these guys all down, and that is the pocket made up. Oh my goodness, isn't this just brilliant? Oh my goodness, Nikki, it's brilliant. I love to watch your musings. Okay. Woo! I think that's good enough for right now. Alrighty, so to make the pockets, super easy. I have this piece because it's a contrasting piece, and so it makes it easier to see it as a pocket. And then I have this piece and I have this piece. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my envelope punch board. So on my other ones, I actually sewed these pockets on, but my sewing machine is not working. So we're just going to glue these pockets on. Just a FYI there. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of do my thing on making these pockets, putting the notches in, and do that really quick. And I'll take both of these guys, kind of line them up so I know that this is the top, and put them together, line them up, do that. Then I am going to go ahead and do a bead of glue around these these three sides. Just a little bead of glue, of my art glitter glue. I'm not very good at doing a straight line. It's pretty funny actually. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and pop these guys together. I apologize for being off screen when I put these pockets together. I obviously didn't realize that when I recorded, but I did want to let you know that I did put the small pocket all the way down to the bottom of the big pocket. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and move this, and you guys are gonna see me put this pocket on. Just to be much clearer on this, this is not the actual pocket. This is just a contrasting color that I'm putting over the pocket so that you can see the pocket better that is there, just to be clear. Of course, we're going to make sure that this piece doesn't go over that line because we don't want to have it binding up on that, on the fold. And then you've got two other pockets that are going here. And how I make sure, I take it about 1/2 inch up from this line because I don't want to have it be too bulky. So what I do is I like to pull up my piece here, see, you know, kind of see what it's going to look like with this down, see? So for me, I feel like that's a great place. I'm going to go ahead and put it right there. I'll go ahead and fast forward through this. You know the drill. I'm just going to take my art glitter glue and make a really nice thin line around the edges so that we can glue this pocket down. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to be up about 1/2 inch up, and I gave myself just a little room on either side. And make sure to just put that down. Like I said, I like to sew these on, but you know, when the sewing machine's broke, well, it just needs to be serviced, but that's basically what we have. So I hope you liked that. I will be back with more stuff because I'm going to be putting in some little tucks things and whatnot, and I'll show you that. I'm going to be putting those together. I hope you liked today's video. I sure had a lot of fun making this project up. Make sure to catch the next video where I make the things that go inside. Thanks for watching. Bye.